Hey guys, welcome to the video. Coach Carp back in the garage gym. We're here today with another barbell review. It's the Bells of Steel Barenaked Power Bar. Stay tuned, we'll take a look at it. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Eric here, and we're looking at the Bells of Steel Barenaked Power Bar. I gotta say, this bar is pretty nostalgic for me. This was my first powerlifting bar about 5 or 6 years ago. Now this is a newer one I've only had for the last several weeks. I wanted to get a new version in and check and see how it compares to some of the older versions and to see what you guys can expect if you were to get a new bar. Now when I first got this bar, I kind of felt like this.
My magic sword and said,
by the power of Grayskull.
So if you guys know what I'm talking about, prior to training in my home gym, I built my gym about 6 years ago. And prior to that, I had been training in high school, the YMCA, local lifting gyms, and they didn't really have much to offer in the way of power bars or any bar variation. Most of the bars that you found there were hex bolt bars, low quality, no aggressive knurling, and not very strong bars. If they did have any of those things, they were extremely wore down. And when I first started my home gym, I just had a basic setup. I had a bar and a set of plates and a bench that I got from a family member, and I traded a Yeti cooler that I won at work for a makeshift power rack. So that kind of got me bit by the home gym bug. And after that, we kind of got to what you see here. But when I first started out, that was my setup, and I had a hex bolt bar, and I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. So this was my first powerlifting bar. And I gotta say, it was like night and day. I was doing like starting strength. It was just now getting back into powerlifting type training that I hadn't done in years. So a bar like this is very key. That's one thing I definitely recommend. So if you've never had a true power bar, you definitely want to take a look at this one. If you're on a budget or if you just want a good power bar. So let's check out the specs on this. This is a powerlifting bar. It has a 29 millimeter diameter. It has a center knurling, which is also quite a bit larger than most of the other power bars you'll see. This has a longer center knurling by about an inch and a half or 2 inches, depending on which manufacturer you go with. It has an aggressive knurling and the one powerlifting ring mark. It does have a bare steel finish with chrome sleeves, which is one thing that I think doesn't get mentioned enough, is the chrome sleeves. This knurling is considered an aggressive knurling. And on my knurling scale, I rated it about a 5.5 to 6, which is right in there with the same rating I gave the Rogue Ohio Power Bar, 20 kg. And this is a 20 kg bar. It has the bare steel finish with the chrome sleeves, the hard chrome sleeves. I think this is one thing that this bar doesn't get advertised enough. It's called the Barenaked Power Bar, and the shaft is naked steel, which gives you a really good grip. But it has the hard chrome sleeves. In my experience with a bare steel bar over the years, and I've had several in Tennessee, it's a humid climate, and the sleeves on most of my bare steel bars are the first things to rust. Where the shaft, I guess because of the oiling and just the hands and things getting over time, seem to last a lot better. I do oil my bare steel bars, but the chrome sleeves seem to last a lot longer than any other bars I've had. And I can even show you some pictures of few other bars I've had. The company is based in Canada, but they do have a US website and US offices also. This bar came from Canada, so it took a beating along the way. The cardboard tube when it arrived here was in 3 or 4 pieces. So I was very, very nervous and skeptical about this because I've never had that experience before, but it had always shipped from somewhere in the US. But I was pleasantly surprised when I unwrapped it, because Bells of Steel, they're one of the best barbell packagers that I have seen, and I have had several bars over the years. All the major name brands: Rogue, Rep Fitness, Fringe Sport. I even own some Kabuki bars and Texas Power bars. But these wrap all the major points that would receive wear with foam rubber, so that the caps on the sleeves, the end of the sleeve, where they would rub into other things, they wrap it with a foam rubber and then tape that, and then they oil and wrap the shaft with like a cellophane type material. And so your bar, even though it's bare steel, you have much rust or oxidation because that oil really soaks into the bar. you'll see when I open mine, it's very heavily oiled, and I just wiped that down with a microfiber cloth. Marks or anything messed up with the bar when it arrived. So very impressed with that, even though it went through that process. The pre-packing, I think, is what saved the bar. So if you do have it shipped from anywhere, it should be okay because the way they do the inner wrapping. So that's just one thing to be aware of. I don't see other companies do that. Most of them just put a little piece of foam at the end of the sleeve, and that's pretty much all you get, if any. So be aware of that. Like I said, this bar is very nostalgic for me. It was when I got my first real power rack. This was my first real power bar. So at the time, I had a Titan Fitness 2x3 rack, and these thinner competition sleeves work fine on those type of racks. Now I have a 3x3 Rogue power rack, and one thing you'll notice is the sleeves are very close to the upright. So that's one thing to be aware of when you're walking out a squat or re-racking a bench, or even doing an overhead press and re-racking the bar. That just be aware to try to get that right in there. And one hack I did here is, I'll show you later on the J cups here. The one thing you can do to just help out with that, even if you do have a 3x3 rack. But another thing where this one shines is it is IPF specs, similar to the Rogue Ohio Power Bar in 20 kg. This one does have the thinner sleeves. It's similar to that, the Rogue bar or the Eleiko style bar. So if you're into powerlifting, you're competing in powerlifting, and you don't want to spend the $700 on an Eleiko bar or whatever they are now, $400 or $500 on a stainless steel Ohio Power Bar, I would highly recommend this because it's going to have a very similar grip, and the practice like you play sleeves over the thinner and stiffer bars that you'll see in competition. So that's another thing to be aware of. Would I recommend this bar? Yes, I definitely would. I got many of my beginner PRs on this bar, and I didn't have any problems with it. Like I said before that, I was using lower quality bars, but I really like that, even though it was really beat up, and that's, mainly due to shipping, because, all the different points it probably hit along the way, but it came basically pristine. And just take a look at the clips in the video here, and we'll show you there wasn't anything wrong, scratches, dents, knurling marks, or anything messed up with the bar when it arrived. So very impressed with that, even though it went through that process. The pre-packing, I think, is what saved the bar. So if you do have it shipped from anywhere, it should be okay because the way they do the inner wrapping. So that's just one thing to be aware of. I don't see other companies do that. Most of them just put a little piece of foam at the end of the sleeve, and that's pretty much all you get, if any. So be aware of that. Hex bolt end bars, if you have one of those, they're great to get started, but I would highly recommend you going somewhere up to like this $200 range for this bar. Actually got a little surprise for you guys. I would recommend this bar, but also Bells of Steel wanted to work together here on this bar. It's not sponsored, but they did offer a coupon code, so you guys can save 10% off on this bar with using code CC10. Like Coach Carp 10, it would be CC10 at the checkout for 10% off. That 10% off is good on these power bars and a few other bars that they're willing to do. So the promo right now is only for the next couple of weeks, depending on when you're catching this bar. But this bar from $229 all the way down to, I think it was $197, $198, anywhere in that range, it's a steal of a bar and a great deal. Because even if you're looking at something like the Rogue Ohio Power Bar out of the Boneyard, I believe those are like $225. Then you have to tack on tax and shipping, where all the Bells of Steel bars are free shipping. So I would recommend using that discount code, get you the 10% off, and get you a nice power bar to your door for under $200. If you're living in Canada, the code is also effective there too, but your prices are different because they're in Canadian dollars. But when you go to checkout, just make sure you're checking out at the US or Canadian site, whichever one is applicable to you. But they are offering this also on the industrial trap hex bar, the regular trap hex bar, the arch nemesis bar, which is, if you've seen the videos out by Gluck and some other guys, they reviewed that as a comparable bar to the Kabuki bar, but their budget option. So take a look at that. You can get that for 10% off as well, or even the traditional curl bar. And I'll show you some clips of me using all those. But I can recommend all those bars. I've had them in-house. I've used all of them. They're all high quality. They lasted me for years. There's no reason to upgrading those. The reason I did is just kind of I'm a home gym junkie, and I kind of like just trying out different things. But there was no issues with any of those bars, really. They all served me well and did exactly what they were advertised to do. So take a look at any of those or this powerlifting bar. It's a bar I really like, and it was very personal to me because it was one of my first powerlifting bars ever. And this is what really showed me the difference in a low quality bar and a higher quality bar. There are bars that cost more, and some would say are higher quality, but they won't perform or function any better than this bar. You guys take a look at it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Affiliate links down in the description. Please take a look at those. If you consider supporting the channel, I'd really appreciate it because we can bring you more content and more videos like this. If you like anything, what's your favorite power bar? Tell me down below. Do you like your power bars aggressive or passive? Let me know. Coach Carp, guys. Take it easy. Okay, for you guys that stuck around, here's a hack for you guys that want the 20 kg bar with the thinner sleeves, the competition style sleeves, but you want to use it on a Rogue or 3x3 rack. Turn your J-cups inside with this way, and then you have an extra inch or so here where the bar plates will not rub into the J-cups. This is all really helpful also on these Irwins. They have a pin that will go through there and will keep your J-cup from rocking either way. So that's one thing you can check out on those. Or Aperture Engineering makes these 3D printed sleeves that I use for plate storage. I just had some of these lying around, but that's another hack you could do. These would slide on there and you can put your plate on there. And as long as you have some decent collars, I don't see why that wouldn't work or be helpful for you. You could do that. You could make your 20 kg bar into a Texas Power bar or Bear Seal Equipment bar. Bonus hacks.